All right, we're back in action here at Self Storage Expo Asia 2026. I love that. By the time we get to this point in the day, the music comes on and I see heads turn. I see Jason Giambona go, aha, that's the cue. This guy was all ready to go. He knows that action's coming when he hears that tune. We are getting into it. AI is the theme of our afternoon here at Self Storage Expo Asia 2026. And it is because in the last couple of years, it is changing how we all do business. I'm on it constantly over there. Sometimes I even get something good out of it. But AI, as we know, is not necessarily going to be benign. If you had a 5-year marketing plan that you set 2 years ago, maybe even 6 months ago, it is being torn apart by what is possible. And if your competitors are keeping up and you are not, you are going to get slaughtered out there. But fortunately, we've got the man with the new plan. He is Stephen Hughes. He's the Chief Marketing Officer with R6. And he has been in this business for 20 years, but he is all about innovation. He's done this type of work in everything from insurance to property, and of course, for ages now in self-storage. And you know, you gotta get what he's been cooking, because not only is he a master of marketing, he is a master of the grill. Some of you picked up on our Master Your Discipline series of advertising, and we asked some of our presenters, what is your mastery outside of self-storage? And his is on the barbecue. So like I said, you're gonna like what he's cooking up today. So please welcome Stephen Hughes from R6. Take it away. Go get him. All right, thank you. All right, let's hear it for him. Hey.
G'day. So it sounds like a dramatic headline. AI is destroying your marketing plan, but it actually almost is an undersell. AI is hitting every single discipline in marketing. And marketing has to adjust pretty regularly. Good marketers get used to it, but this is one of the biggest shifts we've seen. The closest, like my intro said, I've been around for 20 years, which means I started my career when classified advertising was still a thing. And the biggest shift that went from there, where businesses could place an ad in the newspaper, they could put a classified ad in, they'd get a whole bunch of work, and then suddenly Google turns up and completely eats the lunch of the media companies. And the whole landscape shifted. It went digital, it went more reportable, it went more accountable, and we're seeing a similar shift happen now with AI. So you need to go back and review every part of your marketing plan. Now, the speed of this transition is faster than anything we've seen before. I'm sure everyone would agree. You just see the speed of tech speed up and speed up and speed up. Claude seems to release a new feature literally like twice a week. It's out of control. And what we need to do is then really focus on the key things that are going to help us grow in the future, but even from a perspective of just protecting your business as it is now. So there is so much I could cover. You could literally do an entire day on what's changing in marketing due to AI, but I'm going to focus on one area more today, which is GEO, which we've heard a little bit about before. And I'm going to put most of the time focus on that, because search is a lifeblood for storage. And so we need to know how that is changing. We need to be on the front foot in making sure that we're where we need to be, and not only where we need to be, but we're there in the right way. Okay, so a little about me. Let's grab this. You're probably wondering why you should listen to this guy. So 20 years of experience. I've been in many different industries. Lots of time in insurance, working with a lot of data, heavy data focus. My expertise is strategy, data, and tech. I'm part of the R6 group, which is R6 Digital Marketing Agency, R6 Automate, which you see SiteLink, Store App, Rapid Store, all of those. And we're soon to launch a new brand, R6 AI, which is stepping heavily into AI agents and that kind of part of the work. So, but probably what you care about more is my meat smoking. This is my hobby on the side. That is only partially an AI photo. The kookaburra on my smoker is real. The fact that my backyard is clean is not. So the grass has been mown by AI to make it a little cleaner, but that's my side gig, is cooking meat, much to the joy of my family. But let's get on to the marketing. Okay, so why should you care? why should you care about AI? There's a lot of people that are like, oh, just kind of sit back and watch what happens. You know, we'll see what happens and we'll adjust when it hits us. But it is moving so quickly. Here are some numbers for you. Okay, 66% and 28.3%. Little hint in the top left corner, this is about adoption of AI. These are two different markets. And what I want to point out to you, a market that you would probably look at from afar and say are adopting it heavily, that they're really taking it seriously, that there are people doing some great stuff in there, is the US. We think of them as heavy adopters. A lot of those tech companies come from there. The number on the right there is US adoption of AI tools. The number on the left, I keep double clicking this, is Singapore adoption of AI tools, 66%. Asia tends to be a faster adopter of new technology. They have more interest in new technology, they're better at adopting it, and they jump onto it quickly. I mean, even before we were talking AI, and a few years back when we launched Store App as a new app, a new thing to market, it was a Hong Kong business, Redbox, which were the first business to take up that technology, and then many of the Asian customers have continued on after that and adopted it quickly and very well. So Asia is a market where technology is adopted well, where people adjust to it well, and so you need to be keeping on the front foot, possibly even more than most of the other markets that we regularly work with. So what I'm going to focus on today is consumers. So there are a lot of different AI platforms, they serve different purposes. There's a lot of people, I've chatted to a number of people already about AI, and a lot of them use within their own business Claude. It's had great uptake in business, but when we're looking at consumers, it's really not up there in share with consumers, it's more used by business. So there are different markets for different audiences. Generally speaking, the world uses ChatGPT. That is the platform that consumers have jumped on like nothing else. The other platform that's right up there is Google Gemini. Google Gemini is an interesting one. It's not actually because people have adopted it, it's because people use Google, and Google uses Google Gemini. So when you look at Google Gemini numbers, they're generally heavily inflated by the fact that AI overviews are run by Google Gemini. But within the space that we're talking about today, highly important. You need to be thinking about Google Gemini as a platform. But with so many of them out there, you know, you've got other consumer ones like Perplexity and whatnot, they're still relevant, but they're not as heavily used in the markets that we function in. The only exception to that is China, mainland China actually, because Hong Kong aligns with the rest of the world. But China is a bit different. They've got some homegrown tools. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in those tools because the markets that I do marketing in, I haven't played with those. But from what I've seen, most of the logic around what we're seeing them do within their algorithms to pull in citations, to reference businesses, is relatively universal. So there will be nuances there, nuances in terms of relevance, but we'll focus mainly on what we've seen with ChatGPT and Gemini. Within our business, we do a lot of self-storage marketing all over the world. We do a lot in the UK, obviously a lot in Australia, New Zealand, that region. And we've been working with select customers that are keen to adopt this. We've been experimenting and testing, because that's how you need to test with AI. Because it's essentially a black box. It's like the question before, someone is like, what are the secret ranking factors that allow you to rank in SEO? There are secret ranking factors. There is an algorithm, but they keep it hidden so that we just have to experiment and work out how can we feed the Google monster the best possible way with the best possible content in order to get the best possible rankings. There's a lot of experimentation there. So we need to be thinking about that within GEO and how they intersect and how they also are different. The stats up there which show you why it's also highly important. 74% of Southeast Asian shoppers will use AI recommendations in some way. That is huge, particularly with what is a relatively new technology. And in terms of Google AI overviews, over 200 countries have it now. So it's pretty safe to say that probably every market that's represented in this room will have Google AI overviews active on many of their search terms. Okay, so we're riding this wave. This is the tsunami that is coming. I don't know if that's insensitive. This is a giant wave of AI. So we need to be thinking about how we're going to ride this. And really what we're doing is we're traveling from clicks to citations. There is quite a big dynamic shift in the way that customers are engaging with the information that we need to be aware of, because it changes how we structure our information, it changes how we build our quote funnels, and it changes how we achieve citations and get visibility. So search, as a concept, has fundamentally changed. And I'll try and explain to you as best I can. There's a lot of detail to it, but I'll try and get into it. So your traditional search, which is your section on the left there, you're focused on ranking your website. So you want to get to the top of the rankings in Google. That's your key goal. Then you want to get that user to click on your headline. So you want to try and make that optimized for click. The listings are relatively neutral. You can control with the metadata what information is going to be on there, what Google's going to be displaying to probably a 90% extent. But the thing is here now, listings now sit generally below the AI overviews. And this is really changing the game. So AI search is a very different kettle of fish. So AI search is focused on earning a citation. So that's where they go, here's the answer to your question, little link at the end for them to reference where they source that information from. That's what you're trying to get. They may not even name you in there. The users read the content and they rarely click on the links. Massive dynamic shift into how we deal with our marketing when it comes to search. So AI delivers a citation, but where Google delivers a listing and you can largely control what it says, AI will deliver a citation and it'll judge you. It'll decide what it puts in there. And another one that's interesting dynamic is the citations about you are very likely not to be from you. They're likely to be from another source. So what we're seeing here is the rise of this idea of zero-click search. So Google queries still going up. People are asking questions. They get value out of the Google AI. They go in, they ask follow-up questions. Overall total of search is increasing because people query more things. But the rate of people going from Google to a website tanked. Particularly if you think about your funnel strategies. When you're at the top of the funnel and you're doing informational searches, what are some helpful tips for when I'm moving home? That's the kind of search we want our business to be up there and go, helpful things when you're moving home, storage. Storage is probably the most helpful thing you can get when you're moving home. Google is now going to be searching all of that and serving it yourself. They won't come to your site. They won't be looking at your article. They won't be on your owned asset. They will be using the AI overview and going from there, likely not to your site, likely just off to whatever they're going to do next. So zero-click search is a big thing that's evolving. So that brings us to generative engine optimization, GEO. You might also hear AEO, which refers to answers engine optimization. Often confused, there is a lot of overlap there, but that's more about, there were answer snippets and things in Google. Similar things can work well in AI to answer questions, but we're going to look at the more broad term, which is generative engine optimization. So think about that as basically your SEO for large language model platforms like ChatGPT. So GEO search is not just about visibility. You can be seen on GEO really well by running a really bad business, because there's going to be an awful lot of stuff written about how terrible you are. There's going to be lots of relevant content on the internet saying these guys rip people off, these guys have terrible security, whatever it is that people might go online and whinge about. The Reddit forums that you hate because you know that they're there and they say nasty things about you, those Reddit forums are going to drive GEO in a bad way, because you want visibility and you want to manage the sentiment. Because being seen in AI can actually be a negative experience and a negative outcome for your business if it has something negative to say about your business. So the old paradigm, be seen, get clicks, have traffic, hopefully convert traffic into a moved-in customer. That's the old paradigm. That's what we were used to. We could create these beautiful funnels that would drive people through them. They were action-oriented. We move people onto the site. We catch them in our quote funnels. We give them a great price, good experience, move them in. The money's in the bank before we know it. The new rules, they're a bit harder. We need to be seen and be loved by the AI. And what we get from that, not necessarily a click. So we even get paid less for it, really, in some ways. We then get a strong client impression and possibly some clicks. And hopefully those clicks will come and buy. As I said previously, AI will judge you. So pulled some data on that to have a look at it, because you hear about people like, oh, I was doing really well and there's this one Reddit thread, or I've had some bad reviews recently and now all people can see when they search me on ChatGPT is the bad reviews and how bad it says I am. Found 49.9% of Google AI overviews are positive, which is great. Bad part of that is over 50% of them are neutral or negative. If any of you have done customer experience scoring, like Net Promoter, you would know that neutral is not positive. As in, you only count positives as promoters and positive experience. So neutral and positive is not great. The outright really hardcore negative is sort of single-digit percentages, but the neutrals are still damaging. ChatGPT, even less positive. 43.9% is positive. So we need to manage our sentiment really well, and we need to be thinking about that strategically. So you might say, well, if this is hard and it's hard to get click-through, why would I actually bother investing in it? Don't I just write it off as a channel I'm not interested in, keep pumping my money into Google Ads and hope for the best? The answer to that is that not all traffic is equal. And the beauty of AI traffic is when people get told by what they perceive to be a very authoritative voice, which is this all-knowing, AI system, when they get told that you're a good option and they feel like they've been able to ask the questions, get answers to them and come to your site, they convert at an incredible rate. So these leads are the best leads you're going to get. They are pre-sold. The AI's done your work for you. It's used everything you've set up before to tell somebody how great you are, and then they come to your website and they're very likely to buy. So that is why it is worth the effort, because even though the volume is low, the quality is very high. And so we see here the difference between Google converting at around about 3%. We're seeing the LLMs converting at 12%. So 4 times the rate of conversion that we see from Google Ads, which is quite incredible. Okay, so I'm going to, what is LLM? Large language model. So think ChatGPT, Gemini, that's a short name for those because they're language models. So what we know in this industry is that SEO is good, but local SEO is where it's at for local businesses, because there is a certain radius around your facilities that people are going to travel. That'll be different for different countries. In Australia, it's kind of 10 to 15 kilometres. In a market like Singapore, which is much more dense, it's a lot smaller. It kind of depends on where your competition is. It depends on what the density of population is and the reason why people are storing. But local search is really where it's at. And local search is also being changed by this algorithm change. With local, you could almost always rely on distance. If somebody was next door, even if somebody else probably ranked better than you in terms of their technical, their content, other bits and pieces on their website, if you were really close, you're probably still likely to get a good ranking in their search, because Google weighs heavily upon physical location. The AI models don't. They don't look at your location like Google does. They don't have the same data in that regard. So what you see then is that they're looking for relevant signals. So they care about how relevant you are to the search that is going on. And so what that means from a local perspective is you need to make your location very explicit. You need to make your location very clear, and you need to make that a strong, relevant signal for your business. The key thing over in this right side, so this continues to grow, but 68% of local commercial searches, so people looking for commercial purchases of some kind, now show AI overviews, and that is growing. So At the moment, let's say around about 30% of the searches for storage probably don't show an AI overview. 70% probably do. And so you need to be thinking about this, and you need to be ranking well. Okay, so what does it mean to be locally relevant? Here's a few things you can jump in, a few practical notes you can do pretty much straight away. So Google business profiles are great, not just for Google as well. It's not just a Gemini thing. ChatGPT cares a lot about this as well. It will look at it as a sign of locality. So the amount of people who do not post on their Google business profile is crazy. If you go and have a look at your Google business profile, look at the last time there was a post on there. You might be surprised that it could be like 4 years ago. That's something you need to be looking at. Get that up to date, and for every one of your locations as an independent location, need these local signals. Try to make that content local and relevant as well. So don't just put generic stuff across the board. Pick different content for every location that you have and post it. Reviews continue to be very important. SEO has had reviews at the top of the list of important things for a long time. They continue to be because Google will tell you what is written in the reviews. Interestingly though, you used to care about the stars. AI doesn't care about the stars. AI cares about the words. So it will read the words and interpret them. So if someone says 5 stars, couldn't get into the facility and it was really dirty, the AIs don't look at that as a positive review, even if it's 5 stars, because it looks at what someone wrote and it interprets that. So there's a slight change in what you care about in your reviews. You want decent content, not just the stars. And then content depth. So this has been something that's good for SEO, but so much more important for GEO. Good depth of content. So the question you all have, I'm sure, is how do I win? Because that's what we want to do here, right? Okay, so think about your broader ecosystem of content and references. This is the first good step. Of sources about your business, it is very likely that only 4% of the content will originate from your website. AI loves Reddit, which is kind of upsetting because Reddit's a cesspool, but Reddit is a big source of information that it goes for because it likes to think it's user-generated. It likes to think it's fairly legitimate. You can play in that space and manipulate Reddit a little bit, so I suggest you do that. Relevant forums are big. YouTube. So video. Previously, when you had content in video, Google wasn't very good at pulling that content out and utilizing it for rankings unless you were searching for videos. Now, the AI LLMs are getting much better at that. So they're referencing YouTube content very regularly now. Wikipedia, if you can get it, is great. Review sites, you should focus on those as well. They're not as important as your Google reviews, but they're also very, very important. And then news and editorial sources. So the usual digital PR still exists. Okay, so GEO, like SEO, is a black box, like we said. The industry that we're a part of, we experiment. The biggest conference in the world for all the super geeks in search, which a couple of our guys head along to every year, is actually here in Thailand, in Chiang Mai. And it is the kind of like underground. It's where you learn the black hat things and all the crazy hackers come out to play as well. A lot of people doing online betting and casinos. But what you learn from them is what big scale experiments that they've done to try and work out how these things work. They reverse engineer all the algorithms. So here are some quick things to run through that you should put on your list to look at. So traditional SEO is still critical. Ranking on Google helps. It's a short list. Like you're an LLM, you're trying to run efficiently, so you kind of basically started a Google search and go, okay, here's sort of 50 relevant things, and you break it down from there. So it does help. The traditional SEO signals are important to continue investing in. Content freshness. This is huge. This is one thing we saw affect massively with the self-storage tests that we were doing with our customers. Because initially we went, okay, we're going to do all these things, we're going to invest in a period of a few months, and then we're going to see what we can achieve. And we were able to get our client ranking towards the top, getting really good citations, things were good, we were seeing leads coming through, converting really well. And then it just fell off a cliff really suddenly because that experiment ended and we stopped refreshing the content and stopped building it up to be new. And then that relevance dropped very fast. So the tolerance for freshness within the LLMs as compared to search is much lower. So with this, if you've got really good tentpole content pieces that are really informative, they're really well researched, really well referenced, refresh them regularly. Keep updating them. Keep those things fresh and consistently updated because they will serve you very well over time. Expert quotes. ChatGPT always gets in trouble for making things up, so they seem to have overcompensated towards anyone that references a person saying a thing they love. So they're always good to go for. Sourced or original statistics. It loves numbers. So if you can get statistics on your page, if you can do original research within your customer base or with some research company, they will serve you very well as well. Content depth and structure. So what I mean by that is, don't write a 1,000-word article on something that just kind of breezes through it. Write a comprehensive article that explores the ideas and actually puts some real interesting ideas forward. And with that, don't just use ChatGPT to spit out your ideas, because these programs are naturally not producing new content because they only learn off what's already been written. They reproduce what already exists. They don't create new things, but if you create new things, they love you. So you need to kind of work with them, not let them do it all for you. Bing rankings, another one that the marketer in me hates because Bing's a terrible platform, but particularly because ChatGPT started by being built on the Microsoft platform, the cheapest way and most efficient way for them to retrieve data was to pull it off the same stack that they were built on in the first place, which was Microsoft Azure. So Bing rankings, unfortunately, do matter these days. They help. It's pulling back. Hopefully will change now that they've made some new deals, but look at your Bing rankings, which you probably haven't for a long time. Schema, markup, internal linking, and site architecture. Classic traditional SEO pieces that are often ignored. They are important. It helps LLM understand your website and find what it's looking for. The last one here is one you see all over the internet, which is a lie. The llm.txt file does nothing. So people put it on there. For the tech people in the room, they'll be familiar with robots.txt, which tells Google how to search your site. Some people decided they could come up with an llm.txt and it would do the same thing. It does absolutely nothing. I've seen very large-scale tests on that prove that it does nothing. But what you should do with your stuff is test it, measure it, and then follow the signals that are working, and then double down on them. Okay, so I'm going to breeze through a few other things to be aware of, but they're probably not as big for you as Geo at this point. So ChatGPT ads are coming. So at the moment, they're live to select groups of people in US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Basically, you have to be a very big advertiser to have access at the moment. But what we're seeing in early stats is it's around $60 cost CPM, which is cost per 1,000. And that's 3 times Meta and 2 times Google. It's only appearing 0.8% of the time. Probably because with a small group of advertisers, there's not enough relevant queries to appear there. And the conversion is 1.5 times higher than the other advertising channels. So if you do the math on that, it doesn't quite work out yet, but it's definitely worth experimenting when it becomes available to see whether you can make this work for you. You can see some examples at the top right there of what the ads look like. They're kind of embedded in among them. There's also some chat-style ads, which will then use an AI chatbot to kind of chat around ad content. So there could be some interesting things to do there. So next, content creation. I touch on this because it's the one that probably most marketers have adopted pretty heavily because it's the easiest barrier to entry. So AI content is poor. If you just put something in AI and then you spit it out, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're probably going to hurt your rankings. So don't do that. Content that is clearly AI is not trusted. And I'm not talking about with AIs, I'm talking about with humans. So if you have a person come to your site, the content's full of M dashes, it has some of those classic lines like in a technological age or whatever, they are alarm bells for people. They bounce real fast and you lose credibility. It's a brand hit, so you need to actually use it wisely. And also Google's algorithm, both the AI ones and the normal search ones, they want new information. If you've got the top 10 results and you just create a piece of content that rips off stuff that's on those results and adds no new value, you will not improve your rankings. You need to use AI, but feed it with stuff that's actually genuine new information. Invest time in good training of your AI. That means context of your business, context of what you talk about, your tone of voice, the language you use, how you go out to market. Invest big time in training before you use it. Use it for research and data gathering. I grabbed a whole bunch of these stats utilizing AI, got it to tell me what references they were. I could go in and check the references, saved me a lot of time. Use it to create your first drafts. That's great, it saves you time. Use it for editing and repurposing. So if you need to freshen up a bit of content, it can kind of help you repurpose some of that content pretty well. But you need to guide the AI. That's the big thing. You need to have a good idea and then get the AI to help you execute on that. Don't just rely on the AI to come up with the ideas, produce the content, publish it. It will get you nowhere because it doesn't add value. So that's what I've got in terms of content. So we'll turn over to you guys with questions. Andrew, did you want to guide us through the priority questions?
I certainly can. Let me have a look as we move to it. Okay. Quick and dirty, what's LLM? I know.
Large language model.
Yeah, do you want to explain quickly? I mean, people
Yep.
just, I get it because...
ChatGPT, Gemini, they're LLMs. They're basically like, the models predict what's the most likely next word, essentially, like at a core level when they first came out. So when they were writing, that's how they've gotten to be called large language models. They're more complex than that now, but it's still what they're called.
Sure. They study lots of language.
That's right.
And draw conclusions from it, if that makes it a little simpler. Okay, this is interesting, and I noticed this when you talked about, Serafina said Google tools cannot track GEO performance. I think you said something similar. You said, how do you do it?
Yes.
But I think,
so we've played with a lot of tools. They are out there. There's a lot of tools to track GEO performance that are available. I think there are none in the Google stack themselves yet. I'm sure they'll be coming. One of the key things in terms, think through your funnels and solve the questions you go through. So one that is called, I've got it over here. I'm going to give you the proper name because I'm blanking on it. Profound AI. That's one that's just a platform you can jump into. We've found to be reasonably helpful. A lot of the big players like SEMrush have AI tracking tools now, usually pretty expensive. The other thing that we do for our clients where we host their websites is we use Cloudflare workers to keep an eye out for when the LLMs are scraping the sites. Because that's also a good kind of proxy to look at how interested in your content the LLMs are and what particular content they're showing interest in. So it's hard to track as it's not as easy as traditional search, but there are tools out there that are doing it. And the key thing is you want one that's not just tracking your rankings, but it's tracking your sentiment, because that's really important. Because a lot of the actions that you will do are around kind of first getting visible, but then working on really positive sentiment and owning that narrative around your business.
okay, I've got 2 and 1, the first 2 questions up there. CRV is 4x Google traffic, but traffic goes 100x LM. Why is it worth the effort? You said SEO is critical, but only 4% of AI citations come from owned website. Explain the gap.
Okay, so in the first one, the reason why it's worth the effort is 2. One is conversion is very high. So if you're getting traffic from LLMs, the conversion rate is very, very high. They're basically sold before they hit your site. The second one is that it is growing very fast. So whether that be that Google wins the game in the long run and people stay on there to search, but it's the AI overviews that are driving most of the traffic and answering most of the questions, or a platform like ChatGPT takes over the world and unfortunately for our Google friends, they suffer. Whatever ends up happening, this is the direction it's going. And it's very clear that that's what's happening. People get a lot of value out of it personally. I do not see this trend reversing. So you need to be in there playing that game. And the dynamic will probably change. People will probably change the way they work with it when they stop using Google and start using LLMs more. The way that they query will change. The way that they interact with it will change. But you need to be in there and investing now.
And Google is transitioning you to LLMs whether you know it or not.
Correct. Yeah. More
to...
and more transitioning, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this one, Leona's thrown a little jargon out there, which might require a little bit of explanation for non-native English speakers. Reddit may be a cesspool of incels, but AI still overly relies on Reddit for signals. How, I guess, is one question. Why would be the other. For those that are English second language, incel...
Does it need explaining?
Kind of deranged, lonely man sitting in front of his computer, hates the world because women won't talk to him. Those of you that know the term, okay, hopefully that makes some sense.
Yes, Reddit is a terrible place, but it's significant amounts of user-generated content, and they have really good APIs, and they rent those APIs to the large language model providers.
Is that true for non-English speaking world, like in like when you work with your clients that are in places like Thailand and that, is Reddit a thing?
So we don't have clients in Thailand, so I can't speak to that.
Okay.
But I would say the shorthand for it would be wherever you have people that just go to and comment on things. If it's a social media platform that's bigger, but you're looking for broader thought, not a tweet, not a Facebook post, although those things do get referenced, but you're looking for something where they put more thought into their post, and people like to go to Reddit and rant. They like to put in lots of information about their experience, and because it's user-generated rather than company-generated, there's a perceived value within the algorithms to do that. But you see it with Google as well.
Yeah.
You Google something and it's like, often the first couple of posts are Reddit posts talking about that. So Google values that very highly too.
Yeah, so in other countries, what we're talking about is, that platform that has unfiltered, sometimes toxic, but sometimes very detailed and lively conversations among people. So
Yeah.
it would be all those things, okay? Or a local, I know China definitely has some of those. The government tries to keep a lid on it, but... Okay, I think we're pretty much ready to finish. We are running a little bit over time. Bots are a thing. Bots, short for robots. I don't really know that's in the form of a question, so I'm going to let it go. But of course, you are here today and tomorrow.
I am, and there is a roundtable tomorrow on a similar topic. So if people have questions, they could ask more then.
Very good. So come and see him at our roundtables tomorrow. I should probably take a moment to explain that. After we say thank you, Stephen Hughes, Chief Marketing Officer for R6. Thank you so much for joining us. There we go. Cup and cup. Hey, thank you so much.